I've been meaning to do a long-term report on these OPPO Enco Air 3 Pros for quite some time, and I keep putting it off because I keep waiting for something to go wrong with them so that I can report on that. But I'm happy to say that nothing has really gone wrong with these, even after 9 months of use. And this has been my case with every OPPO I've really had or reviewed in the past, because a lot of them I've had for well over 1.5, 2 years, in some cases more than 2.5 years. Now, no doubt the battery does deteriorate over time, but all in all, there's nothing really much to complain about. So anyway, talking about the build, the one thing I don't like about this is the fact that OPPO is still sticking to this glossy finish, and as expected, ever since my in-depth review, it has picked up scratches and scuffs. So the back of the case in particular has gotten a whole bunch of scratches, because this is where I keep setting it down. This is how I put it down on the desk. So it's bound to get scratches and scuffs. Now, if you do carry this around with you or throw it into a bag, it will get scratched by keys and other different hard objects. So if there are cases available, you might want it if you don't like any scratched up cases. The earphones themselves are also glossy, but these earphones, despite being glossy, won't really pick up scratches and scuffs, if you ask me, because it's either in your ear or it's in the case. So there's no real ability for it to get scratched up, unless, of course, you are putting it on a table, or if you have dropped them a few times. I think I have dropped it once or twice, but it's been on a relatively smooth surface, so it's not really fallen on an abrasive surface, so it doesn't have any scratches. But all in all, the overall build of this has fared pretty well even after 9 months. Coming to the features, these have got everything you need really. Everything's the latest Bluetooth version 5.3. It does have multi-device pairing. So the multi-device pairing works fairly well. I've tried it on multiple devices. It does work pretty well. The handover whenever I get a phone call is practically instantaneous. I can't really complain about that, because it's significantly better than what we used to have in the past, where you had to press and hold a earbud to switch over to the secondary device or back to the primary. So the multi-device pairing works pretty well. So you can control the finer aspects via the app. So I'll just quickly walk you through what is in the app. Well, of course, you can see the case's battery life and the earphones battery as well. You can toggle between your active noise cancelling modes. It does have the EQ settings you can choose from. There are 3 modes you can choose from. It does have the high quality option. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when it is in the LDAC mode, if you are not listening to high resolution music and you have it in LDAC, it is still going to pull in a lot of power. So your battery life is going to be reduced significantly. It does have the golden sound for testing. OPPO Live Audio is pretty cool for when you want a slightly more expansive stage when you listen to your music. So I mean it does work well. It's a good performer. When it comes to its gaming, it does have a latency mode of just 47 milliseconds, which I think is pretty quick. It is very respectable. And then of course you do have your dual connectivity for whenever you want to connect to a secondary device, a earbud fit test, and find my earbuds, which is always important to have, I'd say, with any set of earphones. And of course you can customize all your touch and tap control. So that's pretty much it. It's a lot that you can do, which is quite neat. And of course, it does have active noise cancelling. The active noise cancelling on this is pretty respectable, because OPPO does claim it can cut up to 49 decibels worth of noise, and it does a pretty good job of it. But I've just come out with a very recent comparison between the OPPO Enco Air 3 Pro, the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro, and the OnePlus Buds 3. And the one place where this is lacking is in the higher frequency range. It is not able to cut off, let's say, whooshing from fan blades or wind noises, as well as those other 2 earphones, as I did discover in that comparison. But having said that, I think it's more than good enough. I am comfortable wearing it and using it whenever there's a fan on or AC on, or even outdoors. I'm okay having that little bit of noise come in, because it will let me know of certain things that are around me. Now, no doubt, if you do want to do that, you also have a separate transparency mode if you do want to be more aware. So this is of course a very personal thing. If you're not okay with that little bit of higher frequency noise bleeding in that case, you can consider the other earphones that I did mention. Now, keep in mind, this is my long-term report. This is not my in-depth review. My in-depth review covers a lot more details. So even if you want to see my latency test, latency demo, it is in the in-depth review. So I will leave that link down in the description below. Now, apart from active noise cancelling, this does have environmental noise cancelling, or also known as ENC, and this is obviously used to cut out a lot of the environmental noise around you for whenever you're on any phone call, so that your voice can be isolated over all that noise and carried over to your recipient. So if you do want to see how your voice would sound, or how your tone quality would sound carried over to your recipient, here's a quick demo to show you how it will sound. So I'm calling you from the usual busy street where I do all of my call tests from, just to give you a sense of how much these earphones are going to be battling with their environment and noise cancelling. Now, of course, there are some two-wheelers, four-wheelers, and you might get the occasional pressure horn as well from some passing tankers. And there is some construction work going on behind me as well. So I have been on the camera microphone all this time, and I will switch over to the OPPO Enco Air 3 Pro microphone right about now. So, this is the overall vocal tonality you can expect for these earphones to carry over to your reception. Now, no doubt this would do significantly better in a more controlled environment like at your home or at office. This is the worst kind of setting you can be in. So, this is how it would operate if you're out on a walk or a run next to a lot of movement. Now, I do toggle between the active noise cancelling modes to see if there is any more strain on the environmental noise cancelling algorithm when it comes to the call test in my in-depth review. So if you do want to see if there is a shift there, because you are sitting in the reviewer seat, if you do want to see if there's a shift over there, you can head on over to that review and have a look for yourself. So anyway, this has been the call demo for the OPPO Enco Air 3 Pro, and I do hope that it's given you a better understanding for these earphones, and I will see you back at the studio. On a battery front, this is a good performer. I've now usually used it for up to 2.5 or 3 hours. I don't like to have anything in my ears for longer than that because I like for my ears to breathe, and I like to take a break from focusing on any media for that long. So while using it for about 3 hours and putting it back into the case, it's usually a little more than 50%, maybe 55% battery life. Now this is when it is on the AAC mode. Now if you put it on the LDAC mode, you can expect the battery to come close to dying at 3.5, maybe even 4 hours, because it's unnecessarily using more energy to let in more data. So if you're not somebody who's even listening to high resolution music, there's no point having the LDAC mode on. But of course, if you do plan on experimenting with the LDAC mode and you have high resolution music, one thing to keep in mind is you have to switch it on from within the Hey Melody app, and you might have to go into your Android developer options into the Bluetooth section and activate it there for the first time. After that, it will do an automatic handover to LDAC or AAC whenever you do it from within the app. So that's one thing to keep in mind. On a sound front, I've always found myself really liking these earphones. A lot of people don't, because I think the masses like heavier bass. They like, they're not so particular about detailed recovery. But OPPO does have an audiophile heritage. So their separation, highs and mids is terrific. The detailing with these earphones is quite good. For that matter, even the vocal and instrument separation in the mid-range is absolutely terrific for a set of earphones that cost as much as these. So the only thing I find lacking with these earphones is the lower mid frequencies, because some vocals can sound a little on the tinny side. So male vocals, some female vocals, especially Adele, who does have a nice rounded voice, she doesn't sound as full with these earphones in that range. Now, the bass straight out of the box is also, well, it won't impress many people, but it is more balanced in its tuning when it comes to its bass. But thankfully in the Hey Melody app, you do have a few presets you can play with. So I normally keep it on the bass boost mode because it gets fuller, it does get more enthusiastic, and it is a lot more fun. So whether you're listening to a lot of acoustic music or EDM, it is good fun, it is fuller. But if you are an absolute bass enthusiast where you want big sound, bloated sound, you want your ears to rattle or your earwax to get loose in your ears, this is not really going to achieve that. It's not trying to impress you on a bass front. It's more trying to give you better detail in its overall delivery of music. It's trying to let you hear and appreciate all the finer aspects, the little shimmers in the background with percussive instruments, the in some cases fingers sliding over the guitar strings when a chord is being changed. So it is finer in its overall delivery compared to some other earphones that are out there, especially on a sound front. So would I recommend these earphones after all this time? Well, after 9 months of using these, to be very honest, I've not used them every single day. I do shuffle between a whole lot of earphones, especially because I'm reviewing a whole bunch of things. So this is also one of my go-to sets of earphones because I just like how it sounds, especially in the price range. It does sound very nice. It is a sweet sounding set of earphones. Now again, let me mention this again. If you are a bass enthusiast, you most likely won't like this. I'd point you towards the OnePlus Buds 3 or the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro, which again I've got a review on. You can check that out, a comparison between the three of them. But overall, I think this is for the person who wants finer details in their music. They want to be able to hear, you know, the small bits of effort that musicians have put into their mixes and to their recordings, because some other earphones don't do it as well as these. So overall, I still do like these earphones. They are great performers. I've had no issues that I can really complain about. Maybe except for, I can talk about it in the long-term report, because I have heard the original call recording. The call quality I don't think is the best out there, especially when you compare it to its peers. But you'd be the best judge. If you've missed that chapter, you can head on over to the call chapter and listen to that and see whether or not you are okay with that kind of call quality, if call quality is a priority to you. So anyway, after all this time, let's talk about how much these cost. Well, at the time of recording this video, these do still have a maximum retail price of about 7,999 rupees, but you can make these yours for 4,999. So of course, for 5,000 rupees, I'd say, considering all the features and everything it has, it's pretty good value for money. Obviously, if you are a stickler for sound, I would recommend this. But if you are very particular about call quality, this could be a deal breaker for many people. But that is a decision that you'll have to make. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and I do hope that I've helped you make some sort of purchase decision. If you would like to help support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning to Paul's POV for some sound advice.